ABC24 This Week starts right now.
Hello, and thank you for watching ABC24 This Week. I am your host, Pepper Baker. You are here for the real stories behind the big stories, and I hope you'll join us every Sunday at 9 a.m., 10:35 p.m., or on 24+. All right, let's see who is at the table. As always, ABC political analyst Otis Sanford. We have Catherine Burgess, MLK 50 reporter, and Tawan Stout-Mitchell, former Memphis City Council chair and Memphis City School Board member. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and get to the topics. MSCS state intervention legislation heads to Governor Bill Lee's desk. Memphis Mayor Paul Young's proposed budget is our second item. And then lastly, for our election segment, we'll discuss voter turnout in the Germantown referendum on the mayor's position, and then plus a tribute to Representative G.A. Hardaway after news of his passing Friday morning makes a huge loss for the Tennessee political world. First, a lot of developments with the state's intervention of Memphis-Shelby County Schools this week. The bill to create a 9-member state-appointed oversight board passed the House and Senate and is now headed to Governor Bill Lee's desk. This is a bill sponsored by State Senator Brent Taylor and State Representative Mark White. This board would have control over budget decisions, approving contracts over $50,000, and terminating the superintendent or other non-elected district employees, among a lot of other things. Now, the legislation states 6 criteria points ranging from low student proficiency scores, absenteeism, state audit outcomes, and leadership turnover. If school districts meet 4 of those 6 markers, then it requires state intervention. Out of 146 Tennessee school districts, 6 met 3 out of the 6. Memphis-Shelby County Schools is the only district that meets not only the quota, but all 6 points. So here's what lawmakers on both sides, an MSCS board member, a parent, and a former educator said this week.
We have to hold all of our districts accountable. These 6 measures are for the future, not just for this bill. If any district in the future falls into 4 of these 6, including the 2 that you just mentioned, then we need to look at it.
What this bill does is supersedes the voters of Shelby County to put in what we would consider a Republican-appointed governing body to supersede the decision-making of the people who were elected by Shelby County.
We have 110,000 kids, 13,000 employees who are going to bear the consequences of their decisions tomorrow, and we're ready to fight.
They are graduating students that only 25% can read at grade level, which means 75% graduating from high school can't even read at grade level, can't do math at grade level. And so that is an abysmal failure.
Community needs more questions before we just lay down all of our cards and say, yes, we're ready for state intervention, because there's not been enough historical information and data to give us the confidence and trust that the state is in our best interest at this time.
For us to expect our children to perform like everyone else in the state coming from impoverished areas is absolutely ludicrous, and I am not for a state takeover, and I support MSCS 100%.
So obviously a lot to unpack here. Otis, I normally start with you, but we do have the former MSCS board member at the table, or Memphis City Schools board member. So Tawan, I want to ask you first about the legislation, how it's all unfolding, and your reaction to just how everything came down this week.
I think it's regrettable that we've come to this, but I want to say that because what I did not see senators and the Representative Mark White engaging with any of the community on this legislation. Did you? Maybe I missed it, but I didn't see them talking to groups, talking to schools, talking to citizens, community meetings, and getting input. And I am a third generational. I got 3 generations of educators in my family. And I can remember my grandmother once saying, to educate a child is more than about teaching. It is also about learning. And learning comes about when children are engaged, when parents are supportive, and when community gives structure. Now, all we're talking about is that they're not learning, but we're not talking about how do we evaluate those other components. And basically, I really don't even think they care about that. I really don't. Now, that's me. I think this is about money and power, because the legislation leaned heavily on contracts, hirings, promotions, and all of that, and buildings. It's regrettable, but I must admit, the school board bears some responsibility, because their first round of picking a superintendent was awkward and clumsy. Their selection of a expert who went out and searched and looked at the backgrounds of candidates left a lot to be desired. And if I was a school board member, I'd be suing the search firm. But that was clumsy. But it's no reason to jump from citizens to this point without engaging citizens.
That's a good point. Otis, I know you have a lot of notes there. A lot of talk about the criteria targeting MSCS and then who will be appointed to this board. I want you to touch on that, but of course what you had proposed.
Well, yeah, and it just seems to me that the criteria was sort of tailor-made to include MSCS and exclude others around the state, especially when we talk about an audit from the comptroller. Nobody else has been requested an audit from the comptroller. But there are just a lot of things to unpack here. First of all, Representative White and Senator Taylor said that all of these 9 would come from Shelby County. Well, that's not true. Both of them said that this is not just about MSCS. This will impact the entire state. Well, we know that's not true. This was targeted to MSCS. And also, they have said it was about education, but I haven't seen any evidence of that. And so now we have this board that can do a lot of things. They have even more power than I thought they were going to have going in. And we just, the other day, the current school board approved some teacher raises, as I recall. Those could be overturned here. And so we don't know who these 9 are. But I am saying, I was talking to Catherine before we went on the air, the local news media has done a reasonably good job of covering. Chalkbeat has done a good job. Even the Daily Memphis CA and the broadcast media have done a good job. But now we're going to have to step up our game, because this is the biggest story going. We need to be all over the story in every way possible to find out, and once these 9 are named, who are they? Let's vet them, and let's see if they have the qualifications to try to turn it around.
And why are we electing 4 school board members on the ballot this year if we're going to have another body that's going to make all of the decisions?
Good point.
That's a good point. Catherine, let's talk collaboration here, because, you know, the takeover versus intervention, the legislation obviously says intervention and state accountability measures. But what can collaboration, what's the best case scenario? What's the worst case scenario? Can collaboration exist here?
Well, I think when we consider the 3 people who are appointing these 9 board members, it's the governor, it's the Speaker of the House, and it's the Speaker of the Senate. And those are all Republicans. None of them actually live in Memphis. None of them are from our area. So a great point of collaboration would have been to make some appointments from Memphians. I think if those 3 gentlemen are willing to listen to Memphians, then perhaps we could have some collaboration. Will that occur? I think I would be skeptical to.
Are you all surprised that this ended up happening this legislative session? I know it didn't make it through last time.
I expected it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I wrote a long letter to Senator Taylor and to Representative Mark White. Never heard a word from them. So they didn't want input.
I'm not. It was a fait accompli all along. They were bound and determined to do this. As of last year, they finally got it done. And when we talk about one of the 9 being not from Shelby County, I think even Senator Ramesh Akberry sort of indicated the other day, it sounds like the fix is in on who that person is. We don't know who it is. But again, we'll have to wait and see who they select. and the qualifications they have, and are they willing to be collaborative and working with the administration, working with the school board, working with the community, working with parents, working with other stakeholders, and do the things that I have not seen the legislature do so far.
Go ahead.
And I have heard some names, and I must admit, now some of the names I've heard, I've been impressed by.
Okay.
But it's how you coordinate two bodies trying to do the same thing at one time, and you gave both bodies all the same responsibilities. That is going to be a colossal mess.
Yep. Okay, well, a lot remains to be seen here. It's the story that keeps on giving, so we'll definitely probably have this as a topic on future shows. That was a good topic there. All right, when we come back, Memphis Mayor Paul Young proposed his budget to the City Council. We'll get into the details. Stay with us.